Hi everyone, and welcome to this round of Iron Quest. Today I'm joined by Ivett Kovács. Hi Ivett.
Hey Sarah.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much for joining me today and being my co-host. This has been the most popular Iron Quest round so far. We've had like about 60 submissions, which is just crazy. So you picked the right month to join me. And I think the creativity and variety we've seen this month has been really great as well. So you want to just give a quick introduction to yourself, Ivett, so people know who you are?
Oh yeah, sure. So I'm Ivett from Hungary. I have been working as a data visualization designer and developer for more than 8 years at Star Schema Ltd. I so love my job and my work, and this is actually my hobby as well. And I am so excited to see the submission of this round, each by each.
Yeah. I think if anyone hasn't seen like Ivett's Tableau Public work, please go and do follow her and check it out because she's amazing. And I'm really grateful that you could join me today. I'm a big fan of your work. Anyway, so this month's topic was Quantified Self. So for those of you who don't know what Quantified Self is, it's just the process of tracking data about you. And I picked this because of everything that was going on in the world with like COVID-19 and the lockdowns. I thought it would be a really good month for reflection, and people had a lot more time on their hands in general because they were at home. So it was a good opportunity to try and track data about you or your lifestyle. And I would say that the variety of visualizations that we got submitted for this round were really vast. So some people track data about their health, about their just daily routines, about the music they listen to, about their like social media habits. I mean, everything. And you'll see that on this call today, just some of those visits. We won't have time to review all of them, so because we had so many submissions. I think about 50 people requested feedback, and that's just impossible for us to go through in an hour. So some people have been provided feedback manually by email. So if your visit is on here today, obviously you won't get an email. You're going to get the feedback from us instead. But I'll be following this up with a blog post, so please do check that out, which will contain all visits. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to start and look at the first viz. So the first viz we're going to look at today is by Alex Johnson, and it's called Health Activity in a Pandemic. And just so you know, by the way, all the authors that I'm reviewing today are first-time Iron Quest participants. So welcome and thank you for taking part. Okay. Have you got any first thoughts about this one, Ivett?
I cannot see that.
Oh, you can't see my screen.
I can see the PPT.
Oh, okay, hang on. Just bear with me. Can you see it now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, brilliant. So Alex is looking at his number of steps both before the pandemic and then after like lockdown hit. So you can see that his like steps, the daily steps, massively like decline after I think it's March, about March the 13th, just before my birthday. So fun fact, the lockdown hit, my birthday is the 15th, and I think that was like the last normal day in the UK. So my mum wanted to go out for dinner. I was like, I really don't want to go. It doesn't feel right. But we did. But then that was like the last thing that we did.
But I'm sure that was a special day.
Yeah, I mean, at least if it was a week later, then I wouldn't have had a birthday, right? So.
Yeah. And do you know why I really love this submission? Because if I know correctly, this is Alex's first Tableau Public quiz.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I like how simple it is. Like, and it's really clear. You know, you can see that lockdown happened, and then Alex stopped like walking as much as he did usually.
Yeah, this is not a complex and big visualization, but it tells the story, and we can recognize immediately after the emergency declared his activity, his steps significantly reduced.
Yeah.
So
And I like how he's added that the annotations. So he's got at the bottom, he's got some context around what was happening in the world, and like why obviously the lockdown happened, which is nice. If it was me, I'd probably add those to the actual chart itself, because I think sometimes they could be missed at the bottom. So I'd actually annotate the lines and just add these comments, and point to the points that they relate to. Or even add it at the top, just somewhere, just not at the bottom, because I find if things are at the bottom, they can get missed. And that's been proven in some iris tracking research, where they find that if you add big numbers at the top, they get seen straight away, but if you add them at the bottom, they're noticed later on.
Yeah, that would be great. And I would add circa about 50 pixels white space below the title of the viz, because the line chart is too close to that.
Yeah,
I think. And my suggestions, if Alex uses a red color on this line chart for representing this information, I would reverse the gradient, since fewer steps mean where we need to improve the progress. So that's why I would highlight that part of the story with darker color. But
yeah,
this is my opinion.
yeah. I normally wouldn't apply a gradient to a line, but I think it does work in this case. But I get what you mean. So reverse it around. That would be good. I would, if it was also just a really minor point, but I'd probably hide the the minor tick marks on the axes, just to make it look a little bit cleaner. Because I think they're red as well, so I don't think they're necessary. But
if you just scroll down,
yeah,
so below the chart we can read some information what happened on a given day. I think that is useful because it gives exact insight. So I love them.
Yeah, I do as well. I just wish they were up here.
Up there,
yeah, or at the top. Yeah, and I would probably remove this axis label day 2020. We don't need to know that.
Yeah.
But no, it's really good. I think nice, simple use of color. Well done, Alex. Okay. Moving on, we have a viz by Autumn. This one is looking at Autumn's spending, I believe. Yeah, so it's...
Oh yes, this is so nice, and I think really useful report. I love the colors, the curve line chart is so cool at the top of the viz.
Yeah, I'm just going to scroll down so we can see it all, but I agree. You carry on talking.
Long, but wow, these colors are so nice, really. And I don't like using shadows, but these shadows around the text boxes are so pure. So I love that.
Yeah, it's super clean. I love the use of color, like you say. The blue on the back works really well with the colors that she's using in the viz. It just pops, and that the shading that she's using behind the text boxes and the images of the circle really help that kind of come to life, I think. I would say there's quite a lot of text. So we've got a lot of text here. And in each box is quite text heavy. I might either reduce the amount of text shown or just break it out with some paragraphs and spacing in between. Because this one in particular is there's so much there, it's quite daunting to read. So maybe you could break it in the middle or just reduce the amount of text shown. But I think it's important because it adds context.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And maybe just one comment from me. I would consider using the divergent color palette on the the donut chart, so here.
Yeah.
And so bar charts are good for displaying data for around, I think, about 6 categories or fewer. I don't use pie or donut chart if I have more than 3 categories, because if you have more, it becomes harder for the eye to distinguish relatively of size between each section. So I would like to see any other visualization like bar chart, but definitely I would use other color palette.
Yeah,
because it's a right side we can see a kind of greenish and the other side bluish.
Yeah, I agree. And if we compare lodging and movies, it's quite difficult to see which one's bigger just by looking at this. I wouldn't be able to say. So yeah, I agree. I do like as much as I agree, I do kind of like the impact this one has. I guess maybe it's not so important to the audience in this case which kind of category was biggest, but I see that she's calling out music and the amount of money that she spent on going to concerts and things like that. So if it was me, maybe I would just highlight music alone and then leave the others in like maybe a grey, and just emphasize that, yeah, like a third of my money went on music concerts. Autumn must be saving a lot of money right now because she can't be doing that. Yeah, it's quite, I think, yeah, it's quite like reminiscent, you know, it's like she must be like thinking right now, I can't do any of the things that I usually spend my money on, like go to cafes, go to concerts. So it's quite nice in that sense. Let me go back up to the top.
That would be great to see the whole visualization on a smaller layout, which fits desktop size, because I think the chart can be a bit smaller, and then the layout won't be so scrollable.
Yeah, because it's very big.
I really like it. I think it's a really beautiful work.
Yeah, it is. And I like, as you say, I really like when people do this. Just, you know, it's got meaning and it adds to the design as well. Just one minor point. I think there's a menu here. But I can't click it, so I don't know if that's important. I'd add it up, maybe up here.
And those dots are clickable under the curved line. Yes.
Okay.
Or just a design element. Oh no.
It's clickable, but it doesn't seem to do anything. Yeah, it's information. No, I don't know. Who knows? I was thinking it might update this chart, but maybe not. Anyway, great work, Autumn, and thank you. She's been doing some really great work recently. So if you haven't seen Autumn's profile yet, definitely check that out. All right, next we have Kaitlyn, and this is tracking her reading. So Kaitlyn puts me to shame because I don't read very much at all. I've got lots of books. I buy books all the time. I just don't read them. Just struggle to find the time. So she's comparing her reading habits in 2018 versus 2019. And I'll just scroll down.
I like how she separated the different section with a line. I think that it's great. Yeah. And I also would highlight that she made it a point to read from more diverse authors in terms of gender, origin, and ethnicity. If you just look at the pie chart, the pie chart section.
Yeah, I would consider changing these to donuts and just highlighting the proportion that were, well, I think the grey is female authors, or I'm not. Yeah, so I just highlight that portion because you can really see how that's grown as she's made that effort to, you know, diversify her book.
Yeah, just draw attention exactly that exact percentage.
Yeah. And then I like how she's actually shown some of her favorite books. I think that really brings it to life.
Maybe I would use say slightly more cheerful colors, but that's already a matter of style.
Yeah, I think that the color in the background is quite like, you know, it's not very happy color. I feel like I might even just consider trying white and seeing what white looks like, and then if not white, then just maybe a very light color. I think that.
And it seems this blue is just default Tableau blue color, you know.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
and Kaitlyn made simple chart types, bar and pie chart, but honestly, I am very happy about it because it also shows that you don't have to do complex things and develop a super fancy visualization, because you can still make the story with these simple visualizations as well.
Yep, absolutely. Just one minor point here. I think some of the text is cut off at the bottom, so I'll just check that. Make sure that fits. But I do like it, with all the text, she's actually broken it out, so it's not just one big chunk. There's just one minor point as well. It looks like there's different fonts or different font sizes between like this section, the diversity, and the
Like
best of
all of it.
2018-19. So just make sure that they're all the same like size and font type.
And is there any interaction if you just click into the cover photo, because there is a sentence to learn more about each book and so
No,
on?
there's nothing
No,
there. No.
because there is a click into.
No, there's nothing. But I would consider like maybe including URLs to something like Amazon or a site where you can read more about the book or buy the book. And you could add those here, right? If we had that data, that could work. Yeah, so great job. Okay, next we have Cheryl, and this is all about music. So Cheryl tracked the music she was listening to during quarantine, and she was also looking at where the artist came from and genre, and yeah, her favorite songs.
Yeah,
So,
the color just clearly refers to the brand. I mean, the Spotify, which is
yeah,
great as it is consistent with the topic.
yeah.
But
I like how
this map,
sorry.
just
You,
go ahead.
you go. I was going to say I would like how she's included where the artists came from. It's not something you see people do very often. It's more like who I listened to or what genre it was. But this is quite interesting.
Yeah, but I think the map isn't centered by default. Now we can see the states, ocean, and a little part of Asia and Australia. But if you just zoom out, you can see there are more countries.
Yeah, it is centered in a strange, like, I mean, we don't normally zoom in and center like that because obviously
nothing.
I doubt these islands here where all the majority of the artists came from. I might be wrong, but I doubt it. Yeah, so yeah, I'd zoom out by default, and even fix the map because I don't think we need to kind of zoom in and look at the detail. It's just for context, like which country had the most.
Yeah.
I'd actually call out what the colors mean here, because it's not super intuitive. So, like, is a lighter green mean more people, or which one's which?
I also would like to remove the white border around this map because the dark gray ocean or any other color for the ocean also separate visually the map from the background. So I don't want to use this white border.
Yeah. I mean, I know that it wouldn't work with the way it is at the moment, but I really like some of the techniques that Jeff Schaefer does where he just takes away all the background. So then the map kind of blends into the viz color background. Now, obviously, with the countries shown in black where I'm assuming there's no artists that she's listened to come from, it's not going to work. But if you just recolored those countries, it would blend into the background of the viz really well.
Oh, it's a great trick.
Yeah, he's got some blog posts on this. But basically, you just remove all the map layers, and then you can basically color the background of the map the same color as your viz.
Ah, great! I will check it. Thanks.
That's okay. So then we have artists, the top artists that she listened to. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of bubble charts, but I think in this case, I think it works because we're really only interested in like the ones that she's listened to the most, and she's labeled them. So just a high level view, it's fine.
Yeah, the bubbles perfectly represent a huge number of artists here, but honestly, this doesn't say much to me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would use the color codes, for example, showing different type of musics. I know it's, for example, Cheryl just highlighted the local musicians or pop, rap, or just highlight her favorite artist. So I would play with the color and code stuff here.
That would be nice because she has said I listen to a wide genre of music. Now, I'm not familiar with all of these artists, I've got a weird taste in music, so but I wouldn't know like what genres they fit into. So it could be interesting if she split out her favorite ones and highlighted those genres in here. I like the annotations though as well. So she, you know, she's added some context around who she
some
listens to and
personal
why.
information.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then we have the top tracks and top artists. I mean, is this interactive? So what I'd like to see is something that would match the two. So if I clicked on Until We Die, I've got no idea who that song's by. It'd be nice if I clicked this bar and it highlighted the artist on the other side.
Yeah. If you look at the x-axis at the first chart, the hours played shows as a float data type, while the second chart type show the whole numbers. So I think that would be great if we can show the same number format, because this is the same information.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's just a tiny thing.
Yeah. I mean, technically it could be on the same chart. It would just mean that these bars will be quite small because, you know, the maximum is like 3. Where is it here? We've got 18.
And I really miss merging to the left and right side of the layout, or some white spaces padding, because these charts are so close to the border boundaries of the layout.
Yeah, I agree. I think we could do with some spacing here and here, and just I think in general the viz could do with like a little bit more spacing in between the sections, because this header is really close to the bubbles above.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I think that's really interesting, that just the time of the day.
What happened?
So yeah, she listens to most of the music during the day. And then it's nice. I like the recommendation she's included at the bottom, but again, just some more spacing would be nice.
Yeah, it's great, the recommendation part. Something personal give to the users and the readers. So it's great.
Yeah. Okay, great job. Next we have CJ, and CJ was looking at Mental Health Week. So this was inspired by so he's actually cited, okay, so it's very similar to Judith's viz, My Fallen Kingdom, where she looked at where she spends most of the time in her apartment, like which areas. I do like how he took that inspiration and built his own. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, this is a great viz. It took me a while to see the switch action menu on the right side and understand what to do exactly. So I would consider to increasing the font size of it, or just highlight it somehow to make it much more noticeable. And adding a short description to the tooltip of the pink dot about what is this NGS. That would be very useful, because honestly, I don't know what is this NGS.
NHS, you mean?
So
the NHS.
NHS. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's in the UK. It's the National Health Service. But I agree.
Oh.
If you're not from the UK, you're not going to know.
I don't know that. All right.
It's basically the organisation that run all of our health services, hospitals, doctors, surgeries, everything. I might be missing something. Okay, so he's got the information from the NHS website, so around like staying at home tips.
Oh, okay. And is that a link or just text?
It's just text. Yeah.
All right, but there is something and I can look for. Yeah, it's good.
And then I think this. Okay, no, don't worry. What I agree with the colours, because we've got two things going on here. So we've got colours for mentally beneficial, and then we've got colours for daily activities and NHS advice. But when I look at this initially, I only see the mentally beneficial colours. So I was a little bit confused, especially because the pink on mentally beneficial high is the same as the pink as a day in quarantine. So I'd make that difference explicit, so they have different colors, and also make it clear like which one appears. So I think if I click on, let's say if I click on NHS advice, they all turn blue.
Just blue, yeah. Yeah, I'm totally agree with you
Yeah.
on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think overall it's a really great and fun visualization. Drawing the floor plan of your flat or house is fun, and then playing with X and Y coordinates in Tableau also a good practice. So
yeah, and it's nice and small as well. I like that.
Yeah, that's small.
Yeah. Okay. Next we have Dang Ho, and this one is looking at, let's check, self-tracking.
Okay.
So it's just tracking daily activities compared to target. So I don't know if these targets are kind of self-set or like recommendations. I'm not sure.
This concept and design style like a business dashboard, because he calculated the target, competition rate, so he analyzed himself very carefully. I think this donut chart. So just again, the donut chart and pie chart are designed to show parts of a whole. So any sum below or above 100% doesn't represent the entire picture. And okay, at the eating habit, it's okay. But if you just go back to the sleeping, and
yeah,
by default, it's a more than 100%. So I would consider using bar chart with a target line, for example, just creating a dual axis or a reference line which represent the target. But definitely, I don't recommend to use pie or donut for this information.
We saw a viz on Kaitlyn's viz, I think it was for the reading, she had a target on the bar. So she showed the number of books, and then if she passed the target, that worked really well. And something like that, she described could work here. I'm really intrigued by the clocks, because it's not something I've really seen anyone do before exactly in this way. So I guess they're highlighting kind of the times that they sleep. I'm a little bit confused. Maybe they have naps during the day. I'm a little bit confused by like I guess it works better for eating, but for sleeping, there seems to be like a lot of shading. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I feel that this red color warns me that a given action should not be allowed to do that. Like I shouldn't sleep after lunch, even when I work from home. So
yeah, and I mean, yeah, exactly. And I guess it's perfectly feasible to go to bed at like 10, 11 o'clock at night, but then they're in red, like it's bad. So I don't know. Maybe that's the target. I don't know. The tracking, we're looking at a difference versus benchmark. Okay. That's funny because the recommendation is that they need to decrease the sleep. Most people have the opposite problem, that they don't sleep enough. I wish I had that problem. I'm just going to click through a few more. So entertainment.
I mean that clock.
Yeah. Just really have a lot of fun, entertainment all day long, like regardless, all day and all night. I'd like to know, like, what is entertainment? Is it, obviously we've got a gamepad picture here. I'd like to know what that is, if it's like TV, activities, I don't know. Health. I'm guessing this is the exercise, maybe. Yeah. There's a lot of days where we're under the benchmark. That's quite interesting because it says we're doing good up here, but then if I look at this chart, it doesn't look good. Like we had that one day where we're 300% above. So Sunday. These colours actually, I don't know. We've got what we're colouring by.
Yeah, it's a free color.
Yeah, so it's red, amber, green, isn't it? Yeah, I was thinking it's a different color for every day of the week.
Yeah, and I don't like to use together the red and green.
No, as we know, that's not good for color
So
blindness.
I use any other color pair for those over and under information.
Yeah, I mean, we could get away with just using one color, I think, and just use a gradient. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I've not seen a viz like this before, so I'm really intrigued by it.
Yeah, and just one more, the symmetrical arrangement, I think it's great because it makes balance to the visualization.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe I set this more precisely and give a small margin to the whole visualization.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, next we have Liam. This viz is was one that stood out on Twitter. Like everyone was talking about it. So
Oh yes.
I had a chance to chat to Liam this week on one of like the coffee Zoom chat catch up things, and he said it was really funny because it felt like everyone knew a lot about him after he published it. But what Liam did was using his Google data, he showed what Google knows about his location, the amount of money he spends. So if I click through these tabs first of all, so you can see like where he travels to. It's like super interesting. So where he lives.
I like this map. I don't really like pink or kind of pink color, but this map is amazing.
Yeah, and what he's done is he's used the Google color. So I think every tab is a different color.
A different color. Oh,
Yeah.
and this is yellow. Yeah, okay, yellow, blue. Okay.
Yeah. So how much money he spent? Like he spent a lot of money in the pub. So I said to him that he must be saving a lot because obviously the pubs are closed at the moment. And then his Google search, like the kind of things that he searches for.
Oh, and Tableau is the biggest.
Yeah.
Workplace.
yeah.
Crazy how many times search for Tableau.
And then we've got music. So yeah, obviously the green, but like what he's been listening to, like by artists, the top 5 artists, and then a summary at the end.
I like the sketch portrait, it's so brilliant.
Yeah, it's really funny. I personally I love this viz. I don't think there's much I would change. I just love the design. I love how the title looks like a Google search, you know. And as you say, I just love how each of the tabs are different colors. He's actually gone in the order of Google as well. So he's got the green, the blue, the red, the yellow, and just the context he's added. So obviously, if we just added the map, it wouldn't mean a great deal to me. I don't know much about Liam, but just if we click on an icon, if I click on work, we can actually the map moves around, so we can see
it's great.
Traveling to work and then traveling to the pub or the supermarket.
All right, I think we know everything about Liam.
He went to see his mum, and then he went on holiday.
Oh, and this is Berlin. Yeah, this is the Tableau conference.
Yeah.
Oh.
He doesn't actually call that out, but it's like hint, hint. If you like know Tableau, you'll know why I was in Berlin. It's just super fun.
Yeah, I think this is the most creative submission in this round, and it perfectly represents that even if you don't use any modern or fancy application, you still have very useful data going back several months or years because there is Google.
Yeah, I know that he had some issues getting the data, and I know a few other people struggled. So obviously a lot of effort went into getting it, but it's super interesting to look at your own data like this, and just also it's a little bit scary to know what they know about you. But
yes.
But yeah, no, well done, Liam. Personally, I think this is great. There's nothing I would change. All right, next we have Maddalena. So you work with Maddalena, don't you? Is that right?
No.
No. Okay. I think. Sorry. I thought she worked. Yeah. I thought she worked. Okay.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this this viz. So it's in the style of a bullet journal.
Wow. Really? Is it a Tableau visualization? Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
the minute
like a digital version of a bullet journey or something like that.
yeah
Wow.
the
It's really
minute I saw this, I sent it to Kevin Flerlich. I was like, you need to see this face. It's amazing. Because it's just I've never seen anyone do anything like this before. I just love the colors, the design. There's just so much thought gone into every different tab. It's really
Yeah, definitely it was a huge effort to make it.
yeah.
It's 6 tabs, yeah, and she had to track and collect this data separately.
Yeah.
Because this information shows totally different info about herself.
Mm-hmm.
So really nice and so colorful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. I'd love to see like if she actually has a bullet journal like this and what it looks like in real life.
But here at the left side of the view, the background image and just visual information, maybe that comes from Tableau, don't fit together very well.
Yeah, you mean where it's kind of like
Just aligning the background images well and just check it again.
yeah. No, it seems like it's gone out of line. Yeah, it's really hard to do some of these things in Tableau sometimes, that when you publish, things move
Yes,
around. I imagine she had a nightmare
yeah,
when she published this and noticed things have moved.
I know that. So everything is so, it looks so great in Tableau Desktop, but after you just publish to the server, oh my gosh, what's happening?
It's just like heartbreaking sometimes.
Yeah.
But no, I love this. I think it's really, really good. And good variety of different things that she's tracking as well. Yeah. I love the background too. It looks like it's like placed on a counter or something. Okay.
Nice.
Next we have Max, and he's looking at virtual contact. Okay, so this was inspired by Dear Data, so the book by Georgia and Stephanie, and he's absolutely nailed that. Like if I was just to look at this on face value, I think it was a Dear Data viz. So he's got the viz at the top and then how to read at the bottom, so we know like how he's encoding different things. And it's actually built in Tableau because I instantly went to have a look at it, and you can actually click these elements, because I was worried that he might have just like uploaded an image with no interactivity, but it's got tooltips which add like further context. And I'd say that these vizzes are really hard to do. So I did a Dear Data project for probably about 12 weeks with Anne Jackson last year. We were sending postcards to each other, and we were just like running out of ideas, because it's really hard to like both track your data and then figure out a way of showing it in a quite a visual way without using like the usual charts that we're used to. So we really, both of us really struggled. So kudos to Max for like doing this one so well.
Yeah, it's really nice visualization. Just another piece in my favorite list on Tableau Public. I think it's very impressive and a custom one. I really hope he will share the design process of this work, because I think it's fantastic to see this sketchy style created by Tableau.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Yeah, it's definitely unique. I've not seen anyone do anything like this in Tableau before.
It's just like I just opened George and Stephanie's book, so
yeah, the way, yeah, because that's exactly how they appear in the book, like the side by side kind of view, and like the shading, like you can see that the postcard's been through the mail and it's got a bit dirty, and you know, it's really good. Okay, next we have Natalija, and this is looking at working out from home.
Working out from home.
So she's looking at.
I love this minimal design, because I think, or in my opinion, the goal is to communicate the essentials to let the user experience purity and elegance. And I think this visualization perfectly reflects all these things. Easy to interpret, there are nice pure colors and well-arranged layout. So I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. It's super clean. I think originally she did something different with the colors, and then got some feedback on Twitter and then changed it. So I just love the colors she's picked here. They're super nice. It all just fits together really well, and it's the way she's broken out the exercises. It's really easy to see like which ones are the most popular, and how those trends have changed over time. I think she could run the risk if you did this all in one chart, it would just be too busy and it'd be really hard to read, but I like how it's broken out. And then she's got just the steps at the bottom, and she's got the kind of change, like I think it's change versus like prior to lockdown, how that's changed over time. But yeah, super nice. I wouldn't change anything. It's got enough spacing, I think. It's not like some of the others we've seen where they're really close to the border. You've got a nice kind of edge on this one.
Oh yeah, maybe, but it's well done.
Yeah, well done. Okay, next we have Priya, and this is tracking her mood. This one got a lot of love, I think, on Twitter.
Oh yes, I know.
Yeah.
Okay. It looks so neat, informative, and eye-catching, and really great application of these spire radial column charts here.
Yeah, it's like super nice. Obviously, it really stands out by using these colors, which I wouldn't normally go to, but by using those, I think it's really easy to see like when she was most happy, when she was least happy, just at a glance. Obviously, we are doing double encoding, so the length is kind of the longer the bar, the more happy. But that's also the color as well. But
all right, okay, I didn't recognize it. Yeah,
I think that's because the red ones are small.
yeah, and use the longest bar.
Yeah,
and it's funny that the timeline starts counterclockwise, so the 1st of January.
Yeah, I would generally start at the top and go clockwise, but that's just me. This kind of goes in reverse, which is interesting. But yeah, I think it works really well. I mean, there's nothing else on this viz apart from this. It's super clean.
Yes, and I think it was a viz of the day. Am I correct?
I'm not sure. Maybe. I've lost track of viz of the day recently. Yeah. Well, if it wasn't, then it should have been.
Well, maybe that's why I thought that.
Yeah, really great work.
Nice. Yeah.
Next we have Sedale, and he was also looking at feelings, similar context. So Sedale is looking at his feelings or like emotions over the Lent period, so like Easter, like just before Easter.
Emojis.
Yeah. So Sedale he's actually quite new to the community and new to doing like fun visits. He's been using Tableau for many years, but just at work. So I think he's trying to be more creative and do things a little bit differently. So yeah, there are so many emojis.
Yeah, I was growing the emoji faces from the bar chart because it creates a feeling of overcrowding and duplication of information.
Yeah, I think it's a lot. I think I'm not a fan of putting images at the end of bars. I used to do this all the time when I first started using Tableau because I thought it was fun. If you look at one of my first visits, it's horrendous, but it's a viz about a fairground, like where people. It's a Maker Monday one where people get injured at the fair, like what happens. And I added a chart like this with like carousel like images at the end, like the horse on the carousel, and it's just I remember getting some feedback from Andy Kriebel at the time saying that when you do visits like this, where does the bar end? Does it end at the end of the bar or does it end at the top of the image? And ever since then I've not done that technique because it is confusing because you could like wrongly like lengthen the bar, and I don't think obviously it doesn't really matter with this chart, but you could wrongly lengthen the bar just by adding an image on the end, which doesn't really mean anything, but it's adding to that length.
Yeah, that's
yeah, I would change the background color it's quite like bright,
Yes, yeah, so
and
vivid.
with so many colors going on, it's quite distracting. So personally, I would start with white and then maybe change it, but yeah.
And I also would like to see other complementary color pairs here, like orange blue or something like that, yellow, purple, or
Yeah, I
just
wouldn't use the green and red, and I wouldn't use the gradient either, because it's just creating more colors, right?
yeah, and there is the length of the bar, so that also represent that information. So the color encoding. So I wouldn't use the color encoding here.
Yeah,
Maybe the gradient.
I
You
would
just
love to
said.
see some annotations too. So on the days where he's really happy or really sad, I'd like a little annotation just to say why, like on this day I did this, or that would be quite nice, because
But I am very glad that he felt cheerful more times than sad.
Yeah, luckily the sad days are few and far between, and we had this like sad period followed by a happy period, so that maybe it's
Yeah.
because it was coming to the end of Lent, and he knew
Yeah,
that like Easter, and it's different in the US, but in the UK at Easter we eat a lot of chocolate, so we have like chocolate eggs. You do that in Hungary as well?
yes, the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah, I found out recently they don't really do it in the US. They have eggs, but not chocolate eggs. It's like, that's so sad, because that's here. Everyone goes crazy like for Easter eggs. I'm just curious to see what this does. Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a website.
Yeah.
Feelingsreal.com, right.
Never seen that before. It's cool. Okay. All right. Well done, Sedale. Just before I go on, just also one more thing. I'm just going to say, maybe just space the viz out a little bit more. Like we said before, that this one goes right to the edge. So it's always nice to add some padding just to give it some space to breathe.
Yeah, some spaces.
Yeah. Okay. And the last one we have is Timor. And this is also looking at reading in quarantine. So he tracked.
Wow.
He
This
did a lot.
background is a bit weird for me and for you as well, or just my screens?
It doesn't really fit with the theme of the viz. It looks a bit blurry. Does it look blurry on yours as well?
Yeah. But I don't know if it is intentional or just the quality isn't right.
I think it's intentional.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There seems to be like this. I don't know if it's just my screen, but it's the text is cut off, so it should say quarantine. Don't quite get that. And then there's some things here that have moved around as well.
I think he didn't use a web-based font, maybe because when you just open the font changed immediately.
Yeah. It's probably a non-supported font, and it's just always check once you've published just to make sure it looks like how you hoped.
Yeah, and just republish it.
Yeah, again and again. I mean, he's read 18 books during quarantine, which is really impressive. And because of that, I think he had to keep ordering more books because he kept running out. So these circles represent pages per day.
I like the annotations on the timeline.
Yeah, me too. I love annotations. I think everyone knows I love annotations.
Yeah, I know that. I read your about it.
But I think it just adds so much more meaning. So otherwise, this would be okay, great. Like, he's read a lot one day and not so much the other, but just that context is really nice.
Honestly, I would consider importing another color because now the individual parts are not separated well from each other. So everything is kind of reddish or orangey. So I don't know what is this color exactly.
Yeah, it's like pinky kind of salmon color. Like I might consider just changing both the background and the color, because to me I look at this without any context of the topic, it says it comes across as quite a somber kind of topic, like something very serious, maybe like a health issue or something like that, whereas it's actually about reading. And I think we need some more like a nice white background would be nice, and a different color. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. It's good to break it out by genre. He's actually he's looking at the ratings of the books. We can switch.
And his recommendations or top.
There's not. Yeah. I don't know. Might consider changing this from a bar chart, because I mean, they're all pretty much the
same KPIs.
Yeah, I mean, we could show them maybe on the same chart with like if you had like a dot plot, like when we've got a line and then the dots on the line, and have a dot for his rating and a dot for Goodreads.
Mm-hmm.
Be able to see easily.
Yes, and we can compare each other's immediately.
Yeah, because and because that we're not. I don't think the bar chart's the best use case here, really. And then he's got some recommendations. So if we want to adventure, he's got a recommendation for each, which is nice.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah, we got through them all, and we're actually on time, which never happens. So well done. Yeah, normally I spend, like I said, sometimes we spend like 15 minutes on one viz and then lose track of time, but it's been really good. So thank you so much for joining me today, Ivett. I really appreciate it. I hope everyone found the feedback useful. If you've got any comments, please reach out to us. And if you want to make changes to your biz based on your feedback, please do. And then just share it on Twitter again with us. We'd love to see the changes you've made. Yeah, I'll be writing the blog posts very soon, and I'll be sharing that on my blog, and I'll embed this video in there as well. So, yeah.
And Sarah, I also would like to thank you for involving me in this project. I learned a lot about how I can track myself. These amazing entries gave me inspirations and ideas. And this year, Tableau conferences won't be. And looking at these visualizations and pieces, I feel that I got to know these people, or a small part of them for sure. So thanks for the experience, and huge congrats for everyone who attended.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me. And I agree. I feel like we've almost learned like the person behind the viz, if you like. Whereas quite often people just visualize, make up a Monday vizzes and things, but now we actually find a little bit more out about the people that we talk to all the time on Twitter, which has been really nice. And everyone's been really open and honest with their data as well, which is also really good to see. But yeah, thank you. And I'll speak to you soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.